Hello and welcome to another edition of Connecting Live with me, your host Lydia Daydal. I am about to be joined by WBC Muay Thai world title contender, or challenger should I say, Craig Coakley, who'll be joining us shortly. Let's see if we can get this working again. We had a slight connection issue there, but let's see if we can get Craig back online. This is the internet, this is connection issues and the internet. So hopefully you'll get connected. There you are. Now we can see you. Perfect. We're back. Now you can see your lovely face. Right. So we were talking there, obviously, for anyone that didn't see the little short interview that we just had to end because of connection issues. You are just back in the win column. You were over in Dubai. So we want to find out how your training camp went in the lead up to that, and how it was fighting in Dubai, because obviously it was the first time that you were fighting at that part of the world.
Yeah, so as I was saying, it was supposed to fight a lad called Nico Carrillo, which was scheduled 5 or 6 weeks before we fought in Dubai. He ended up pulling out. He hurt his wrist, so then that was supposed to be his fight in Dubai. I ended up getting that because obviously if he was pulling out on me, he was going to have to pull out for 5 weeks for supposedly a break or a sprain or a bad sprain. It wouldn't be enough for it to heal, so we got the fight in the boy. So the camp just kind of continued on through. So it was amazing. The experience over there was second to none. We met some lovely people. We got into some lovely gyms and made new contacts, and it was a great experience all in all.
So obviously, when this fight had been announced that you were, how do you pronounce this surname? Carrillo, is this?
Carrillo, yeah.
Carrillo. So obviously, I was still in Dublin at the time when you got that fight, and obviously it was the pandemic. You've been out for a very long time. You hadn't fought since your WBC world title challenger fight against Singdam. Obviously,
fought after that.
Oh, you fought after that. Who did you fight after that?
George Mazukitas.
Ah, that's right. On Muay Thai Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So it was two losses.
Get the scratch here, you do, don't you? Jesus.
Forgive me. But listen, obviously, for anyone that has been following your career, the decision in that Singdam fight in Dublin on your cow was very controversial. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a big viral kind of campaign after that you were robbed of that title, that you deserved the win and different things. Obviously then fighting George on Muay Thai Grand Prix, that was a loss. You were the away fighter there. So you had two losses. Another robbery, right? 2 losses on the trot, and then obviously the pandemic hits and you're out. So you're on this trajectory. You're very active, probably one of the most active fighters up until that point. And then obviously pandemic hits. You get a new fight against Carrillo. It's like, right, we're back in business. And then he pulls out. So let's talk about that. Mentally, what is that like as a professional fighter to have to go through that?
It's it was hard. I genuinely thought I was never going to get a fight then. It was just like everything was up in smoke. Because again, while all the pandemic was on, there was talks about fights happening and this was coming up and that was coming up. But all promoters were kind of still on to us, telling us that like, oh, this show is coming up and that show is coming up. Be ready. So like, me and Collie, we just kept ready. Do you know what I mean? As we do, we keep in the gym. We're always there. So it was actually soul destroying when Nico pulled out. It really, really was. I genuinely thought I wasn't going to get another fight for a long time after that. But we campaigned to take that fight in Dubai. We were on to the promoters and we got on to his coach and stuff like that. And we were just like why he was going to be taking this fight if like he's pulling out on me. Like 5 weeks definitely won't be enough time for him to heal up in that short space of time. Do you know what I mean? Like why not give it to me if you're pulling out on me, type of thing. And he did in the end. So fair play.
So when you hear that as a fighter, that somebody that you are due or scheduled to fight pulls out because of an injury, but then 5 weeks later they're scheduled to fight again, what is the initial thing that goes through your mind?
It's very skeptical to me, you know what I mean? Or, like, whether they really are. Like, whatever. Fighters getting injured, things happen in camp, but like no one really ever has like a 5 weeks later to fall back on like after pulling out of a like now there were 2 high level fights that he had scheduled within 5 weeks of each other, which was a little bit stupid as well, because only God knows what could have happened. He could have got cut against me, he could have got KO'd, and then what happens? He doesn't fight 5 weeks later. So it is a little bit silly booking 2 fights in a short space of time like that. But I was very skeptical for me at the start. I was very skeptical. I was like why would he have another fight booked? Like, obviously, he didn't want to fight me. That's what my thought process was. It was like he must be just dodging me and just go and take this or that fight over in Dubai because he gets to travel, blah blah blah, this that and the other. But we got the fight in the end, so no complaining.
Absolutely. So let's talk about, you know, mentally, how tough is it to obviously the fight fall through, to stay in the gym and stay hopeful that that Dubai opportunity was going to come true? Like, in terms of, obviously there's the mental side, with the physical side, you've prepared your body,
Yeah, I was
you've
peaking.
tapered down, you're peaking,
Yeah.
all this stuff that goes in fight camp, and then you have to extend it. So what is the change that you have to make in that time?
There was no real change. I just kind of eased up for a week. Like, as in, so, you know, I do my conditioning, I do my sprints, I do, like, I'm very strict with myself, with my training, like, I'm very regimented when it comes to my training, but we just kind of eased up a little bit and enjoyed a little bit of food for a week. Because, like, I was basically on weight. I was like 67, 66 kilos. Like, I was literally 1 week before I was supposed to fight him. Like, I was basically on weight. My body was coming into its peak. Everything was on track. Everything was like just perfect. I was going well, and then that hits, and it's just like we'll continue to try and hope that we do get this fight, but obviously take the foot off the gas a little bit, because they just got off. Well, probably did. I probably was severely overtrained going into that fight as well, because I was training, I think, 12 weeks coming up to that fight, and then took a week off, and then another 5 weeks of hard training. So my body was feeling it towards the end.
In when you get there, when you finally get to Dubai, obviously it's a new surrounding. It's not like going to the UK or to like
No.
somewhere in Europe. It's a very different. Visually, it's very different. The
Yeah.
weather is very different. The environment is very different. So, how long did it take you to adjust? Did you go there before you had to fight? You know, what was kind of the schedule when you got there?
Well, we were there, I think, 16 or 17 days altogether. The promotion asked you to be there 10 days before your fight, at least. I'm not sure why. Maybe because just in case you don't get in or something like that, or just to acclimatise. It didn't actually take me long to acclimatise, to be honest. That little bit of Mexican blood in me, you know. Well used to the sun I am. Uh, no, I found, like, even sleep pattern, I kind of got straight back into a good sleep pattern. Now, it was warm, it was really warm, it was up to 40 degrees when we were over there. That was the biggest thing when you were training. If they didn't have aircon on, you could barely breathe, you know what I mean? It was really,
Yeah.
really hot. Worse than Thailand, like way worse than Thailand. It's desert there, out there. Uh, but again, like, I think it's more of a mental thing than anything, you know what I mean? Like, if you tell yourself you can do something, you can do it. And that's
Yes.
my thing. Like, I'm telling myself constantly, like, you're grand. There's nothing wrong with you. Just push, just push, just push. And I did, and my body acclimatized fairly fast.
Well, this is an interesting point that you're bringing up in terms of like the mental strength, and that would definitely be something that your coach Colin Mann would say is probably one of your strongest attributes in terms of being a fighter. That you've an unbreakable mind, no matter what's put in front of you, whatever trials, tribulations, whether they be in the ring, outside the ring, whatever's going on. Craig will be able to put it aside while camp is going on and get the win, fight his hardest, and then deal with whatever afterwards. So what do you put that down to? What is that? Where does that mindset stem from?
Growing up, I'd say, from where I'm from, not from the nicest of areas, if we'll say, from a really, really rough area in town, D1. It's fight or flight down there, as you know, where it's kill or be killed every day. So I kind of I got a strong mindset from that, I'd say.
Absolutely. So do you think that your path as a fighter was forged before you decided to be a fighter?
I've always liked fighting, but no, I don't think so. I've always fighting has always intrigued me, but I wouldn't say like, oh, I was put on this Earth 2 fight. I
Hmm.
kind of just stumbled across it, gained a good bit of weight, all about like get me a few slaps, told me to get myself to a gym and started jiu-jitsu. Then from there kind of snowballed. Like I loved the jiu-jitsu as well, like I really did, and it's kind of snowballed. I wanted to fight MMA. You know my story. Wanted to
Yeah.
fight MMA and wanted to get good striking, so I ended up going to Muay Thai and just kind of fell in love.
After all this time, do you still not believe that you were put on this earth to fight?
Nah, stumbled across it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Just
is that not part of it? Is that not part of the journey that, like, you know, you stumbled across it, but it was fate or it was destiny or it was whatever that put you in this on this path? Like,
no,
do you
you got
feel
me out.
do
Sorry.
you feel you could excel like this in
In
something
order to,
else?
if I put
Yes.
my mind to it, 100%. I think I could excel at more, like a lot of things. I really do think I could excel at a lot of things if I put my mind to it. If I dedicated myself to that the way I
Yes.
dedicate myself to fighting, 100%.
Would you want to at this stage if you could go
No,
back in time and do anything else?
no, no. I truly love the path I've chosen, the path that I've been given. It's
Hmm.
I love the way my life has turned out. It's made me grow in so many ways. You know what I mean? I've
Hmm.
grown as a person, as a father, as a boyfriend, as everything. It's made me grow like I couldn't even explain. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So where do we go from here? What's next for Craig Coakley?
So next it is Lion Fight European title on the 22nd of August. I'll be fine. Well, so we have an opponent change. El Pock is out. Pock bottled it. So don't know. I'm not. I don't know if I'm allowed to announce who I'm fighting, but we have an opponent anyways.
Okay.
I'll let the show announce that because I might get myself into trouble. You know
Yes,
yourself.
don't get yourself into trouble. Let's wait
Yeah.
on them until everything is confirmed. So obviously that's September, but let's talk about kind of down the line. Where do you want your career to go? I know during the pandemic, after the Sing Dam fight, there was all this talk of what will Craig Coakley do
Yeah.
next.
Thinking about
There was
boxing, thinking
You were
about
thinking about boxing, you were thinking about
MMA.
MMA. People were calling for rematches. So for
Yeah.
you, in a perfect world, what do you want?
I want me world titles. If I go on, I win. When I win my European title, my line for European title, supposedly the winner goes and fights for the world title straight away. So that'll be probably the first. Obviously, then I'd be my star gets brighter, and I'll keep climbing them WBC rankings. Right now, at the moment, there's an Irish WBC champion at my weight, Sean Clancy.
Yeah.
So it makes for an all-out Irish affair. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
What sense does that not make?
Hmm.
Makes huge sense. Yeah, to have two Irish lads fighting for that Irish title, for that world title in Ireland. Imagine that.
Hmm. Why do you think that
Imagine.
fight hasn't come to fruition to date?
Well, there's a few reasons. Me and Clancy have been on the same circuit a long time now. Uh, he held the Irish title at that weight, at two weights that we've been at, 61 and 63 kilos. Uh, I don't know. Martin probably doesn't like me or thinks stylistically I'm a very, very bad fight for him.
So
The
this is
second
Martin
one
Horgan, who's his manager and promoter as well.
is promoter, yeah. I think stylistically I'm a very bad fight for him. I've good
Do
hands, I've
you
good
feel,
grip.
let's play devil's advocate here for a second, right? Do you feel that because obviously he's Thailand based and he's had the opportunities on one championship, do you think they look at you and say you're not up to the level or you're not at the same level of
So
opportunities perhaps that he has?
why hasn't that happened when before he went to Thai circuits? You know what I mean? Why hasn't that happened when he was an Irish champion? Why hasn't it happened when he was 61 kilo? Why hasn't it happened at 63 kilo? Why hasn't the fight already happened? I've beat, in my opinion, the best fighter to come out of Ireland as Steve Meleady.
Hmm.
Uh, so why wouldn't he want to claim the best in Ireland? You know what I mean? There's three fighters that everyone knows that come out of Ireland for Muay Thai. It's me, Meleady, and Clancy. The three biggest names, we both three of us fought at the same weight. Me and Meleady has fought. Meleady didn't need to take that fight. He was fighting twice at the time as well. He took that fight for balls to him. I beat him on the night. So why can Clancy do it? Stephen's resume is much bigger than Clancy's, in my opinion.
So for you, let's look at that Sean Clancy fight and it being this all-Irish affair and the best of the best and it's the same weight class and everything. For you, what is it? Do you want that fight to prove that you are the best in Ireland? Or is it something where you think that fight should have been made a long time ago and it's just one that you want to chase and you think it's one that the fans want? Like, what is your personal desire
Preference
for
on
that? For that fight
we
coming
hold
true?
the world title at my way, so that being first and foremost, I can take that world title off him. Second, I'm not chasing the fight. I would like the fight. I'd like to fight him. Like, we've been around the same way for a long, long time. We've beat everyone at that way, so why not try beat him? You know what I mean? But yeah, there's been a couple of times where it could have worked out. We could have fought. Like, he's fought in Ireland. He fought Don Kelly for the ISKA title at one time. I just don't know. I don't know why it hasn't been made. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why they think that he's on another level to me, or I don't. I think it's I think it's him personally. I think it's Martin personally. He's a vendetta against us, I think.
Okay, right. So that's the Sean Clancy fight in one section. Lots of people have called for the Singdam rematch. You know, a lot of your fans, a lot of people who were at that fight that night felt that you were robbed of that title. Again, it was a bit of a split sort of decision in the kind of backlash of it. It was down to the rule set. Was it WBC rules? Is it Muay Thai rules? It was all this confusion. So depending on what way you were scoring the fight, each of you could have won. So it was a bit of an unclear situation. And I know that, you know, in that time, that loss, you know, definitely did mean a lot to you. The build up to that fight, the fact that it was in Dublin, that it was your first world title shot, there was a lot riding on it. So does a rematch with Singdam make sense for you?
It's definitely something I'd like, but it's something that never happened. Singdam's like, he is coming towards the end of his career. He doesn't need to fight people like me. He doesn't need to put himself in positions like that anymore. He's done his work. For all I know, he's retired now. So obviously, I'd like that. Obviously, I'd like any of my losses.
So for you, is it more getting a shot at the title again as opposed to winning Singdam or winning a fight over Singdam? Okay.
Me getting to that world title. Yeah, my main goal is to that world title. It doesn't matter who holds that world title. My main focus is to get there and get that world title.
Okay, good stuff. So I'm going to put the comments on just while we'll get a few questions in from fans, from people that are watching, and we'll see what they have to say. But obviously fighting in September, hoping out for a world title. Must ask it because there's a few comments.
It's actually August. Bloopers all day. What is that story?
I'm very busy.
Should be doing your research.
I know. Sorry. It was September though, was it not?
It wasn't, no. August 22nd.
Okay, well maybe I heard that you're fighting in September as well, so maybe there's something else on the way for you. But
there's not.
There's loads of questions in the question box, right? And loads of people are asking, because you obviously mentioned about jiu-jitsu there. And you keep always getting asked, MMA, is it on the cards? What's going to happen? So I'm going to turn on the comments. People can get their comments in, either in comments or in the questions. But for you, MMA, is that a potential option for Craig Coakley?
I'd love to. I would. I genuinely would love to fight MMA. It's on my bucket list, but I know, like, again, I'm a realist. I know I'll have to really focus on doing some sort of grappling like jiu-jitsu or wrestling.
Yeah.
And I know it's not like a few weeks in, then I can just fight. It's a couple of months, you know what I mean? Probably a year thing where I'd have to just submerge myself in jiu-jitsu or wrestling. I know I've a few bits, but it's not enough.
Very good. That's fair enough. There's a question here from Derek Smith, and he's asked, Craig, I always see online people campaigning for you to get signed by one championship. What is the update on that?
Absolute none. I don't know. I think with one, it's not a case of what you know, it's who you know. For some reason, I don't know. My style suits that format. 4 ounce gloves. I've good boxing. I've good movement. I'd be lining Asians up.
But listen, for you, is there something, is there a promotion? Is it a case of I really want to sign for one championship, or is it I just want to fight and I just want to get that world title?
I just want to fight the best people at my way, and I just want. So now, for instance, I fought on all the biggest shows outside Asia. All. My next fight will be online fight, so that's Knockout, Muay Thai Grand Prix, UAM. It'll be Lion Fight now. All these are the biggest shows in the world outside of one championship. Why not bring me into one championship to cause more of there as well?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I agree. We write there's some questions in the comments here. Let's have a look. Ray111 has asked Craig who his first interview was with after the Golden Belt win. I'm assuming it was him.
In the shop, 1-on-1.
Clearly, the Don Mega. Does that Nico fella still have a sore hand, or is that fight happening?
Yeah, so I'm not going to give too much, but we're scheduled to fight in December.
Great stuff. Okay, I'm not going to give too much, but you just told us you're fighting him in
Thursday, watch out.
In December.
Where, you know what I mean?
Right, fair enough.
You know what I mean? You have to do it.
Brian Real Deal, McNeil, Killer Coakley, Dennis Frimpong, would you go straight to professional MMA or would you try a few amateur fights first?
I'd say go straight pro.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be very fair you going in amateur, would it?
Well, I don't know. I am an amateur MMA fighter if I am to go MMA. Just I fought pro in Thai boxing. I don't know what way that works. So I don't know if it works like because you're pro you have to stay pro or what have you. But
I'm trying to remember when Keane Cowley went to MMA.
He
had one amateur fight, right?
Yeah, he fought amateur and then he went straight pro.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so maybe there is an option. But again, the argument would be there, right? As a striker, the potential to light up your opponent.
Yeah,
an amateur is there.
More so than what would be.
Yeah. But also there is that danger of someone who has good jiu-jitsu and a good takedown, timing, and it goes into the argument of which is the better combat sport or which is the more dominant martial arts. You could talk all day about which one is better and who'd win who, right?
Striking.
Few elbows, say nothing. Right, there's a question in the question box, and it's from Alana Oshante, I think it is, and she's asked, I know you fight Muay Thai, but I'm a big boxing fan. I'm wondering, who do you rate in boxing? Who are you watching out for?
There's loads, and there's actually loads of great fighters from the inner city coming through at the minute. You've Pierce O'Leary, Thomas Carty, we've Kelly Harrington that's over in the Olympics, we Emma Brennan who's over in the Olympics as well. Gary Cully, there's so many Irish boxers coming through at the minute that are really, really good, making big waves. I'm a fight fan, I know them all, don't worry.
But what about maybe like the bigger names in boxing, like UK boxing? You know, is there any fights that you're excited to see? I know obviously the heavyweight division in boxing is one that's being discussed quite a bit at the moment because obviously we've AJ, we've Tyson, obviously AJ and Usyk and different things. So do you keep an eye on what's happening in kind of more mainstream boxing?
A little bit, like way Fury and AJ is supposed to happen, but they're not going to fight each other now, so Fury's fighting Usyk.
AJ's fighting Usyk.
AJ's what said.
No, you said Fury's fighting Usyk.
No, I didn't. I'm
yeah, you did. Well, we watched this back.
Yeah,
you should have done your research.
I do. I keep up to date with boxing. I like all combat sports, but I'm more interested in homegrown talents. You know what I mean? I'm more interested in seeing all us Irish doing a lot better on all stages. You know what I mean? Whether it's MMA, Muay Thai, or boxing, I'd like to see us all do very well. You know what I mean? Because again, if like someone else is doing well, that's going to bring us all up. You know what I mean? Like the way Conor did. Like Conor came in, he ran him up in UFC, combat sports, flourished in Ireland. Then it can be the exact same if someone goes over, like Kate Taylor goes over, causes more. Again, all the boxers look better from that. You know what I mean?
Of course, a question here from Alan69. Would you look at a competitive boxing fight?
Yeah, sure. We'll fight any man, any woman or child. You know what I mean? Yeah. Boxing's another thing that I would like to do. Again, it'd be a lot easier to transition to boxing than it would MMA. That'll probably annoy a few people, but I wouldn't have to actually focus like a good year on another aspect, if you get me.
Yeah.
I just have to focus on my hands. My boxing is probably one of my main tools as well.
Yes. Comments here from Gabri: Coakley versus Clancy in one championship. That wouldn't be a bad show. That's a win-win for both parties, right?
Yeah, definitely. But probably not on one because it looked bad. Because if like one Irish fighter loses on one championship, it's not going to look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if it happened during something else, it probably stand better for him.
I think that is a better fight to have on home soil as well, because of how
Yeah,
you could sell the fight.
yeah,
And what
sell
would
the
be there.
fight. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a question here in the question box, and this is from David O'Rourke, and he said, "Olympics are on at the moment. How do you feel? How do you feel about Muay Thai not being in there? And would you like to see it?"
Muay Thai is in the Olympics now. Probably won't be till the next Olympics, but we've already stepped forward on that. It's good to see that it's coming into the Olympics now, and it's gonna make it an official sport now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just this random sport that everyone thinks is played in an underground fight or something like that. You'll see a lot more juniors now coming through over that, I think, which is great.
Absolutely. Last question that's come in here, and then I'll let you go. It's for Alana Chinkeling, I think it is. And she said, in your opinion, who is the greatest fighter of all time?
That's like the hardest question ever.
Well, you have to answer it.
Can't like I don't know me. Fuck it.
No, you can't say you. Well, you
I
can
don't
say
know.
you.
I don't know.
Just for
So
it to
like,
answer the
what
question.
aspect? What sport? What combat?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Like, say, like this, you have to get into detail with that.
Okay, so I'm going to go pound for pound, like who was the best in the ring, who represented himself well outside, who had the champion mentality, who was a champion, who inspired a generation.
I'll go Katie because she's Irish and Connor in the respective things. Katie probably because she's obviously absolutely amazing at what she does. She's a great representative for Ireland inside and outside the ring. Connor was as well. The last few years he kind of went a bit AWOL, but look, money changes people at the end of the day.
He's done a lot
Connor,
for the sport.
in my opinion, Connor has done more for combat sports than any fighter has ever done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Katie probably because she is a better representative for the country.
Yeah. Do you feel that she gets the proper respect or acknowledgement that she deserves?
She doesn't get the credit she deserves now. Nowhere near it.
Why do you think that is?
Because she's a woman.
Very interesting. Do you think that it has anything to do with the fact that she is maybe not as sellable? Not sellable as her, but she's not as
this or that. She's not flamboyant. No, not necessarily. I think it's because she's a woman. Like you look at the likes of AJ. AJ's not a big talker. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's probably one of the biggest pay-per-views out there.
Yes.
So I think if she was a man, she'd be more sellable than she is, if you get me. I think it's a man's world.
It is a man's world. I'm glad you said that. But in your opinion, how do we change? How do we move forward and change that?
No idea. You want to be honest here? No idea. Can't be changed.
Yeah, it has changed. I think maybe more. We're obviously in a boxing that women's boxing is being given the same airtime and the same respect that the men's boxing has obviously got a long way to go in terms of bringing in the same money or same numbers.
But it's come a long way as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's much bigger now than it was, say, 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Okay. I've taken up way too much of your time. Thank you very much, Craig Coakley, for joining me on this live. Any final words before I let you go?
Thanks for having me, and I just want to shout out to all the fans, all my followers, and me sponsors. We love you all.
Yes, and we look forward to seeing you in August. Back out, line fight, title fights, and
We
we look
get that
forward
European title,
European
and then
title.
we gotta get that Nico fight back, and
Absolutely.
we cause absolute murder.
Good stuff. Well, listen, send my loves to everyone at home. Thank
We
you very
will,
much
yeah.
for your time, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Talk later. Enjoy. Bye bye.
Okay, see you later. Bye bye.